Good afternoon, everyone, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This is a demo meeting for Georgia Association of Healthcare Executives. At this time, I'd like to call to the virtual lectern one of the lead contacts for Georgia Healthcare, Mr. Bruce Lloyd. He's the head executive for Georgia Healthcare. Bruce.
Thank you, Floyd. Sure appreciate it, and thanks for all your help in organizing today's session. And welcome to all of our members. We're very excited about Toastmasters and all the possibilities. I'd like to go ahead and introduce our president, John Keevan. He's GAHE president, and he's also president of Wellstar Cobb Hospital and senior vice president of Wellstar Health System. John, you want to take over?
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Really excited to kick us off today. We are at GAHE, continue to look at ways we can expand, partner with others, and bring unique opportunities to our members. And so this is another example of that. This would not have happened without some key people that I want to thank. Katie Hedge, Larry Tyler, Darra Edwards. Thank you for helping us organize this and have this available for our members. We are excited about this new partnership and certainly appreciate all the work that went into this, and love seeing that we've got a good group on today and where we're headed. And I also have the privilege of introducing Darra Edwards. Darra's on. She's the interim Toastmaster Club president, and she is from Southern Regional Medical Center, and who's going to help lead us today. And so, Darra, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, John. And as you all welcome all the GAHE members, and thank you to the Toastmasters District 14 for all of your guidance with helping us to hopefully start our own charter chapter of the Toastmasters Internationals specifically for our Georgia Association of Healthcare Executive members. So as you all can see, Floyd Neal, who is the club extension chair, he is actually going to be the person who's going to coordinate leading us through a sample of what a Toastmasters International meeting would look like. And at the end of this meeting, we'll have questions and answers, as well as give you more details on how you can actually apply to help us start our own chapter here. So I'm going to turn it over to Floyd. Neal, thank you.
Thank you, Darra. So at this time, moving on with the meeting, I'd like to introduce our Sergeant of Arms today, Toastmaster Sadie Bispham.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. I'm excited. I hope everyone can hear me okay?
Yes.
Right, great.
Loud and clear.
Great thumbs up. The Sergeant at Arms. Well, I just did one of my roles, in which you will do as well. You're responsible for really two major things: hospitality and logistics. Hospitality means get everyone in the mood, get ready to get started for the meeting. And to do that, I'd like to quickly share my screen, if I may. All right. The first thing of any meeting is a great welcome. So we want to just welcome you to the meeting. Your welcome could be any number of ways. It could be with a PowerPoint slide. It could be with a signature song that you would like for your club to have. It could be a number of ways. Make your welcome to fit your particular club. Now, in terms of also hospitality, you could be meeting virtually, like we are now, or you could be meeting physically at a location. So in terms of the Sergeant at Arms, you really need to be an early bird to get online in case of a hybrid meeting as quickly as possible to make sure that everything is working well. The sound is right. The technical parts are, the connections are together. And then if you are meeting physically, to make sure your room is open, that it's set up, your banner is out, your US flag, or whatever you do to make your meeting environment welcoming and supportive. The next slide that I'd like to just share is mainly in the case of a virtual meeting. Just let everyone know that there will be who is the co-host. and who is the meeting host. Today, Bruce is the host. I'm one of the co-hosts. Dwight Jones is a co-host, as is Floyd Neal. And the importance of your co-host in a virtual meeting is just to admit people if need be, keep down distractions. Some of the things that is important just to share with members, particularly if you're meeting online, is you want to make sure that you can see your speaker, know where your speaker is at, be able to kind of scan your room. You can be in different views to do that, speaker view, gallery view, whichever you're comfortable with, but you want to make sure that you can see everyone well. In this virtual environment, sometimes we do a little multitasking, so it may be a good idea that if you need to step away from your camera, that you heal your video, if you would, just cover it up. And the same thing with sound so that it is not distracting. But do turn on your video when speaking because we want to see everyone. So that would be one of the things to Sergeant at Arms should encourage. To check the chat, the Sergeant at Arms as co-host could do wonders there. Just checking the chat and remind your members to check the chat, or that's how we will communicate. And a good lit up room so that you can be seen. It's also a good thing, I'll share the next slide here with you, to just remind members why we meet. There are 3 missions at Toastmasters International. One is the club mission. So this is the club mission. And as you can read it here, and I'll just sort of paraphrase it, the most important thing for a club meeting is that it's supportive. And when it's supportive, it's positive, you've got that good energy, you've got a good learning experience. And that helps people to develop their communication. And it encourages them to get involved, therefore to develop leadership skills. So as you can see from this club mission statement, it's all about supportive, positive, so that we all can become greater in our self-confidence and personal growth. So that's the role of the Sergeant at Arms, to welcome, to keep track of the logistics, to make sure everything is on, clocking and moving the way it needs to, and of course, to arrive on time. And without further ado, it is indeed a pleasure to welcome, we call him the Toastmaster of the day. You may know him as the meeting MC, but in Toastmasters terms, it is indeed a pleasure to welcome to the lectern, our virtual lectern, our Toastmaster of the day, distinguished Toastmaster, Dwight Jones.
Thank you so much, Sadie. Thank you, and welcome all to the demonstration meeting for the Georgia Association of Healthcare Executives. As Sadie indicated, I am the Toastmaster of the day. My job is to keep the meeting moving. We start on time and we end on time. So it's my job to facilitate the meeting and keep it moving. I will introduce the roles of today. And also, you can clap this way, or you can do this. When a speaker finishes or introduce a speaker, we can see the motion. If you're in a room where you really just can't open up your mic and clap, you can do this. So we want to make sure we show the energy, show our appreciation. So we'll go ahead and get started with our general evaluator of the meeting. Her name is Gloria Jackson. Gloria, will you open your mic and introduce your team?
Yes, it'll be my pleasure. Good evening, Toastmaster of the Day, Dwight Jones. A prefatory note before I start about my role is that the general evaluator should be familiar with all of the meeting roles on the agenda. And that's because the report is an assessment of the meeting structure and the protocol of the implementation of the responsibility. Now, that could cover the preparation, the organization, the timeliness, the carrying out of the duties, and the enthusiasm of the meeting. So this is how you can tell if your meetings are effective and efficient. Now, with that being said, My role this evening as journal evaluator is to lead the better listening portion of the meeting. My report will be an appraisal from the beginning of the meeting to the end, and that will be inclusive of what we did well and the areas that we could improve on. I have a team, and on my team is the timer and the grammarian. At this time, I would ask my timer to unmute and give the responsibilities of his role. Timer.
Thank you very much, Gloria. As the timer, the purpose of the timer is to provide a visual signal and a record and record the time of designated speakers giving during the meeting. We evaluate everything within Toastmasters, and one of the things we evaluate is whether you're within the time range for your particular time to speak. A speech can be anywhere from 4 to 6 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, and when you get more advanced, some of the more advanced speeches are 15 to 20 minutes. But today's speech is a 5 to 7 minute speech. We give an additional 30 seconds at the beginning and the end of a speech to call that a valid speech. I will show the green card. I have cards in case things happen. But in this case, we'll be using backgrounds. I will turn to the green background at the 5 minute mark. I will turn to the yellow background at the 6 minute mark. And I will turn to the red background at the 7 minute mark. I will leave the red background up until the speaker concludes. And then I will provide the time for the speeches when the Toastmaster asks me. Another thing that we time is the table topic speeches. The table topic speeches are 1 to 2 minute speeches with 30 additional seconds added to the front and the end. To be a valid table topic speech, you need to meet those time ranges. I will again show the green screen at the 1 minute mark, the yellow screen at the 1.5 minute mark, and the red screen at the 2 minute mark. And this will stay up until the speaker concludes. And again, I will provide those times to the Toastmaster when asked. The third thing that we time is the evaluator speech. Every speech that is given gets evaluated, and we want to time the evaluator just like we time the speech. The speech evaluations are timed at 2 to 3 minutes with 30 additional seconds at the beginning and the end to make it a valid evaluation. I will show the green card, which I have up, at 2 minutes. I will show the yellow card at 2.5 minutes, and I will show the red background or screen at 3 minutes and leave it up until the end. And then I will provide the time of each evaluator when called upon by my general evaluator boss, Gloria, for this particular meeting. All speeches are timed. Everything we do is timed to help those individuals learn how to shorten or evaluate their ability to meet a time mark. And that is one of the key areas that Toastmasters helps our speakers in, is time management. Now I'm going to turn it back over to the general evaluator, Gloria, where she can introduce the rest of her team. And since I'm not evaluating at a specific time, I'll turn my background back to blue. Gloria.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Gilhart. That was very thorough and detailed. I hope everyone was able to follow. And feel free to make notes if you need to. Also on my team is the grammarian/R counter. So grammarian/R counter, would you unmute and give us a description of your role this evening?
Good afternoon, GAHE Toastmasters. It's my pleasure to serve in the roles of R counter as well as grammarian. As a grammarian, I'm going to help the club members improve your grammar and vocabulary. I'm going to listen for proper use of grammar and help the club expand your vocabulary by presenting a word of the day. And our word of the day today is in the chat. It's prefatory. Is an adjective meaning introductory or preliminary. And the sentence we use, the speaker gave prefatory remarks before starting his speech. I believe Gloria has already used that word today. I will be keeping track of the members who are speaking and how many times the word of the day is used. My next role is that of the counter. I will be keeping track of how many times we use filler words such as but, so, you know, and so forth. I will be giving a report at the end of the meeting for both grammarian and counter. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that detailed description. I hope everyone was able to follow. The only thing I would add at this time is that when you are called on to speak, to please go to the right corner where you see the 3 dots and pin the speaker. That way you can pin the timer, and that way you can make sure that you see the timing when you're speaking. With that being said, that is the report for the general evaluator and my team. So now I will return the control of the meeting back to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jackson. Thank you so much. The theme of the meeting is servant leadership. What is servant leadership? Servant leadership is a style and philosophy where individuals interact with others, either in management or a fellow employee capacity, to achieve authority rather than power. Throughout the meeting, I'll talk a little bit more about servant leadership as we go throughout this meeting. Again, please pin the timer, because if someone go off video, the screen will move and the timer may move. So I encourage you, if you are speaking, to go ahead and pin the timer, Mark Gethart. Let's get into the better speaking part of the meeting. Our first speaker is a 5 to 7 minute speech. It will be given by Georgia Association of Healthcare President, John Keevan. John Keevan, you can unmute your mic and the floor is yours.
Dwight, I'm sorry. There was an update on the agenda and I sent it out a little late because I got late information. We only have the one speaker, which is Sandra.
Okay.
John gave his remarks in the beginning.
Okay.
All right.
All right, let's go to our only keynote speaker of the evening, Sandra Kennebrew. She will be giving a 5 to 7 minute speech. For more than 20 years, Sandra Kennebrew has been an entrepreneur with a dream of owning a successful, holistic lifestyle business that will make a huge impact on her community and in the world. Sandra joined Toastmasters on June 1st, 2016, with the goal of becoming a leader she needed to be in order to manifest her dream. She has served various club roles, district leadership roles, and achieved distinguished Toastmaster not once, but twice. In her presentation, Igniting the Next Generation of Leaders, Sandra will take you on a journey of self-discovery and personal growth. The title of her speech is Rise Up. Sandra Kennebrew, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Dwight Jones. It is always a pleasure to address leaders in the healthcare industry. You make decisions that are life or death in so many ways. In today's preparatory message, I would like to share a few thoughts about why I feel it's time for us to rise up as leaders. In order to ignite the next generation of leaders, we have to rise up. Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, the world is changing right before our eyes, especially when we look at the workforce. When I started working in the late 1970s, I simply wanted a job so that I could assist my grandmother who was raising myself and 2 siblings. I wanted to get out there and make my own money and make things easier at home. I learned very quickly after working in retail and fast food that fast food simply wasn't it for me. My grandmother only had a 3rd grade education, so therefore she did not press the idea that education was the best route for me to reach the goals that I had for my life. What I saw was individuals going to work with suits and briefcases, and I said, I want to be like that. So what I did was what my grandmother taught me. I worked really hard. I did the things that some people simply would not do. And on that journey, I rose along the ladder of success, and I became a district sales manager in 20 years. It took me that long, but I was running 22 stores in 3 states across Maryland, DC, and Virginia. As I rode up and down the highway on I-95, I said to myself, I've arrived. But I can tell you that today things have changed a lot. I have seen individuals who are in this new world in the workforce, and they're doing things a little bit different. In fact, what they see on social media and on television is people making it to the top of the ladder in no time flat, just like that. And so they believe they can do the same. When I think back on one of the lessons my grandmother taught me, it came from one of my favorite quotes by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That quote says that everyone can be great because anybody can serve. And I think about that, especially as we're talking about this idea of servant leadership. Yes, today's workforce, they see things a lot different. You've heard it, we're living in a microwave society. But don't get me wrong, there are those individuals who come out of the womb and they are brilliant. For example, there's an Indian doctor, Dr. Bali Ambadi. He's born in 1995, and he has been entered in the Guinness World Book of Records as the youngest doctor at age 17 years. Brilliant? Yes, absolutely he is. However, the great resignation that is happening right now is not happening because our workforce is so brilliant that they don't need jobs. Research shows that developing the next generation of leaders is the top challenge of 55% of CEOs. They also stated that 63% of millennials believe that they are not being fully developed as leaders. Yes, it's time for us to rise up. Great leaders produce great leaders. Let me tell you about RISE. R-I-S-E. It represents the core values of Toastmasters International: respect, integrity, service, and excellence. As we learn, teach, and demonstrate daily in our workplaces, I believe we will ignite the next generation of leaders. Our investments in our workforce today can produce dividends and even save lives. Brilliance is just a part of what we need from our healthcare professionals. We also need compassionate leaders with high emotional intelligence who can connect with and serve those who simply want to live more healthy, happy lives. Yes, leaders, it's time for us to rise up. Now, back to you, Distinguished Toastmaster Dwight Jones.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. Thank you so much. That was the better speaking part of the meeting. Servant leadership. It seeks to move management and personnel interaction away from controlling activities and toward synergetic relationship. Also, the authority figure in servant leadership environment attempts to promote and empower employees and ensure the well-being of the employees around them. Servant leadership also aims to develop leadership qualities in others. Now we're going to transition to a better thinking part of the meeting that will be conducted by Toastmaster Floyd Neal. This part of the meeting attempts to help you think on your feet. You will be asked unrehearsed questions. As Mark explained earlier, you have 1 to 2 minutes to respond. 1 minute, you will see the green light. 1.5 minutes, you will see the yellow. And at 2 minutes, you will see the red. Floyd will ask the question. He will call on a volunteer to answer the question. Give us your best shot. Toastmasters is a place where you can try, make your mistake. This is a safe environment. Floyd Neal, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. As I said, my name is Floyd Neal, DTM. I will be asking approximately 3 questions to the audience today. The first question I will ask, I will focus that question toward the demo team from District 14. Okay, I will ask for volunteers. If I cannot get volunteers, I will simply call on someone to answer the question. First, I would ask that everyone turn their videos on because I've seen that a lot of the videos are off so that we can have maximum participation with the questioning. Okay, the first question that I have. Any volunteers for the first question? Focus toward the demo team. Anyone can take this question. Okay, Mark, thank you. Mark, you have to unmute, please, sir. Mark is our timer. And the first question is, what is the #1 quality that makes someone a good leader? Repeat, what is the #1 quality that makes someone a good leader? Mark.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. My name's Mark GAHE, and most of you don't know, but I learned leadership the hard way. I joined the U.S. Army. They taught me what leadership was from a U.S. Army perspective. Follow me. Let's go up the hill. Let's attack that machine gun nest. We learned leadership as a dictatorial fashion of giving orders, taking orders, and showing your troops that they're important to you and that they should follow you and why. I would tell you that leadership in the civilian sector is the same but different. You have a prefectory mode when you come into leadership in the military. You wear your uniform, you have ribbons, everybody knows who you are. But when you come into a civilian job, people don't know your history, don't know what you came from. So to be a good leader, you have to show them. Show by leading up front, by telling the individuals what you're looking for, letting them participate in the response and the answers, letting them have two-way dialogue with you, and then leading from the front by telling them why you picked a course of action. it's important to make sure in the civilian world that you have group dynamics involved in what you're doing. You can't be dictatorial like you are in the military. You have to be understanding. You have to lead from the front. You have to explain what you're doing, and you have to give your employees say in the route at which your ship is moving. Mr. Toastmaster, I hope I answered your question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gerhardt, for that response. The next two questions will be focused toward any of the members that's in the meeting forum today. Can I get a volunteer by raising one's hand to take the question?
Just pick someone, Mark.
Okay, all right, Sharice, could you unmute, Sharice? Okay, next question. What motivates you to go to work each day? Repeat, what motivates you to go to work each day?
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Neal.
You're welcome.
The easy answer would be, what motivates me is money. But that's not who I am. I am not someone who chases dollars. If you know me, you have heard me say more than once that I would rather have a peace of mind than a piece of money. What motivates me is being able to get up and go out and make a difference. I want to make sure that the things that I'm doing are not in vain. I want to make sure that the work that I produce is quality and that it impacts in a good way the lives of other people. Toastmaster Neal and all of the other Toastmasters on this line and our future Toastmasters, I hope that you have that same driving factor, that you are motivated by making a difference. Because if each of us takes the opportunity to make a difference in the other person's lives, then we will be a much better community and world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tucker, for your response to question number 2. Okay. Okay, Mr. Larry Tyler, will you participate on the third question that I have to ask this afternoon, sir? If so, could you unmute and turn your video on, please? Okay, all right. It's Susan Robbins. Do you want to participate in the tabletop session this afternoon? If so, could you unmute and turn your video on, please?
Hey, Floyd, the ones with the video off may not be able to participate.
Okay.
They may be in the office somewhere.
Understood. Andrew, Marty. Hello, Andrew?
I'm here, Floyd. How are you?
Okay. Question number 3 and final question so that we can move on with the meeting. Okay. Question number 3. What is the best advice you have ever received? Question. What is the best advice you have ever received?
Thank you for that question. And hello, fellow Toastmasters. What is the best advice that I've ever received? You know, I've received some bad advice over the years, and maybe it's good to start with that. Some bad advice I received a long time ago is follow the money. It kind of is on the heels of our earlier speaker. You know, there's following the money. Yeah, it's helpful at certain times. But at the end of the day, if there's not alignment to something more important, you're going to find yourself at the end of the day somewhat empty, a little bit lost. So finding the money isn't the right answer. Somebody also said, look for the easiest route. I guess I'm realizing I've got some bad advice over the years. So you don't want to follow the money. You don't want to follow the easiest route. But, you know, some good advice I did get from my mom. My mom once was follow your heart, right? Where do your passions lie? What are the things that keep you most excited and most energized? And whatever that might be, time spent on that is going to be time well spent. So with that, Mr. Topics Master and Table Topics Master, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Andrew, for those responses. And thank all of the respondents that responded to the questions. Thank you for your participation today. Okay. At this time, I will hand the meeting back to the Toastmaster of the day. Dwight.
Let's give Floyd and Neal a round of applause. Thank you, Floyd. As I said, Table Topics designed to develop folk communication skills, listening, thinking, organizing, and speaking. When I first joined Toastmasters, I used to be afraid. When they talk about Table Topics, I just put my head down, hoping they can't see me. Now, it is one of the most effective tools I've used in interviews. I was in my last interview, they asked me about a situation I've never been in my life. And because of Table Topics, I was able to come up with an answer. It sounded so good, I almost believed it myself. You know, Table Topics can help you. It's not meant to embarrass you. Toastmasters is a safe environment, so always step up to the plate when called upon. Now we're going to get into the bella listening part of the meeting. This is the most important part of Toastmasters. Without feedback, no one can improve. We're going to call up Gloria Jackson, and she will present her team to give us feedback on the meeting. Gloria, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Toastmaster Gerhard, you've already given us the time for the evaluator, which is 2 to 3 minutes. So at this time, we will call on our speech evaluator, Toastmaster Cecilia Dixon, to evaluate our speaker today. Toastmaster Dixon.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gloria Jackson. It is my pleasure to evaluate this excellent prefatory speech for today. And as evaluator, my role is to provide constructive feedback of the speech. I will comment on the things the speaker excelled at, and I will also provide opinions on the things that the speaker may want to work on. The speech objective calls great audience awareness because the topic is dear to most of our hearts: self-discovery and personal growth. And the topic, of course, rise up. It drew my attention right away. The things, Versandra, you excelled on: clarity of speech, eye contact. Although we are in a virtual environment, you had eye contact with the camera. I felt that you were speaking directly to me. Comfort level, you were very comfortable with the audience. And most of all, you allowed us to enjoy the speech by presenting a very organized speech. You had an introduction, a body, and an ending. You also presented a personal story, which draws the audience in. And you also presented historical facts. The things that I would like to, there's one area that I would like to recommend for the future, if you decide to present the speech, to have visual aids, because you presented some valuable historical facts. And we know from history that every time you have visual aids, it implants the information further in our brain. Other than that, excellent speech. And I can't wait to hear you provide another speech in the near future. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much for that evaluation. And Toastmaster Dixon, you did hit all the key points that a speaker needs in order to get better. At this time, I will give my report, the Journal Evaluators report, my observation of the meeting. I have thoroughly enjoyed everything so far. And I'm reminded of what Mama used to tell me when it was time for me to wash dishes. I'd go in and I'd start washing the dishes, and she'd come in there and she said, well, if you're not going to do it right, just don't do it at all. She meant I was just washing with water. I didn't put soap in it, but she didn't say put soap in it. She just said washing, and that's what I was doing. So I am not going to be nitpicky about the details of the meeting, but I will highlight a few things that should have been done a little bit different. For all of our roll holders, it would have been good if we had had the rolls in our name bar, because the gallery is full and it's good to be able to look at the ones that are holding the rolls. Now, we did end up at some point, our Toastmaster did tell us that we had a three-part meeting, but usually that's given to us in the very beginning. He is in control of the meeting, make sure it starts on time, ends on time. It is a three-part meeting of better listening, better thinking, and better speaking. But he did get around to that. The other thing is that the topics master, which does the table topics, is on the Toastmasters team, not the Journal Evaluators team. And usually we allow the topics master to give his job, his role description prior to going into it. That way, we would have heard that table topics was an impromptu part of the speaking roles that we conduct, and it may have made people feel better and acted more to volunteer. I mean, who knows? But for the most part, we did very well in representing all of the roles and filling the responsibilities. And I hope that this is giving you a good idea of how this can do nothing but make you better by signing up for Toastmasters. After all, and I quote, the goal is not to be perfect by the end. The goal is to be better tomorrow. And on that note, I am now going to call on my grammarian to give her report of how our language was today.
Thank you, Gloria, Ms. General Evaluator. I taught grammar for 38 years. Does that tell you anything?
About like me washing dishes.
That's right. This was a great group. I didn't hear too much that should not have been used as far as grammar faux pas are concerned. Gloria, I heard from you a couple of times, that away. That's a colloquialism. And when we're speaking formally, we try to avoid those colloquialisms. It could have been that way instead. But you know, I'm from West Virginia and I use that away a lot. Dwight, I didn't hear any faux pas from you. Congratulations. Cecilia, nothing from you. Great job. Versandra, you did a great job with your speech. However, I did hear along the way, raising myself. In that phrase, I believe you were speaking about your grandmother raising myself and my siblings. I believe that was the correct phrase. Grammatically speaking, it should have been my grandmother raised my siblings and me. When you use the term myself, it is for emphasis. In other words, if you use the sentence, I myself was raised by my grandmother, would be the appropriate use of myself. Other than that, your grammar was impeccable. Floyd, I didn't hear anything wrong there. Mark, avoid, this was and always will be my bane of existence as a grammarian. Avoid using the indefinite pronoun you. Who were you talking to? If you were speaking to me personally, you is a good pronoun to use. Be definite in the pronoun that you particularly, Mark, are using in your speech. Charisse, you did a great job. And with that, may I go on to the all counter?
Please.
Okay. Basically, I forgot the word of the day. I heard it used 3 times today. Gloria, you used it before I even introduced it. Great job. Cecilia, I heard you use it twice. For Sandra, I heard you use it once. And if I didn't hear it from the others, I apologize. As all counter, this is fun. Please take it as a fun note. Dwight, I heard you say so twice. Not bad. Gloria, I heard so from you. And I just said, Mark, I heard a but. Another grammarian part. Never begin a sentence with but or and. Use some other conjunction that will tie in the last part of your last sentence to the new part of the next sentence. Can you tell I used to teach this stuff?
Just a little bit.
You might use the word however as a bridge there. Andrew, I heard 2 so's, a woulda, and. And that is my report, Madam General Evaluator. Thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Wow, thank you so very much for that detailed report. You see how important the grammarian in our county is? With that note, I will now turn control back to our Toastmaster of the day. Thank you.
Would you like the timer to give a timer's report?
Oh, please do. Please do for the evaluator. Right.
Yeah. Well, for everybody, as
Yeah.
part of the general evaluator team, a timer is responsible for timing everything. Our
Yeah.
speech today was a 5 to 7 minute speech. Our speaker did 6 minutes and 5 seconds, which is within 5 to 7. So that's an acceptable speech. And it's our Toastmasters or our table topics masters had a 1 to 2 minute window. Mark, myself, I did 1 minute 53 seconds. Charisse did 1 minute 9 seconds. And Andrew did 1 minute 32 seconds. So all of those are valid table topics. And our evaluator, which had a 2 to 3 minute time frame, did 2 minutes 56 seconds. So again, that's a valid evaluation. So that is what I have as the timer of the day. Back to our general evaluator.
Thank you so much for having my back. I appreciate that. Now I will turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jackson. I love a good grammarian report. So Charlie, you keep doing it. Don't apologize. You're awesome. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize our district director. I'm not sure if she's available to say hi. Marion Barrelone, are you available to say hi to the American people?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I am at work. So unfortunately, I can switch my video on, but I'm so looking forward to visiting this club once you get your charter and you all have your meetings with the banner and with your membership or membership certificates and everything. So thank you, Versandra and your team. Thank you to everyone. And congratulations. I believe this club will charter. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster Dwight.
Thank you, Toastmaster Barrelone. And to put it in layman's terms, Marion is the CEO of District 14 Toastmasters. We're coming toward the end of the meeting. Toastmasters is a large organization. We exist in 149 countries. There are over 300,000 Toastmasters around the world and 15,800 clubs. Every year they have an annual convention. This year will be in Nashville, Tennessee. At those conventions, approximately 70 countries will attend. And because of the pandemic, we're not sure what the count will be this year, but that just to give you an idea how diverse this organization is from around the world. You'll be amazed when you get that many countries. The mindset is one of the most amazing events you will ever see. Besides the Olympics, not many other organizations can bring that many countries together in one place. I had a great time, great participation. Thank everyone for showing up. And this time I will turn the control of the meeting back over to our Club Extension Chair, Mr. Floyd Neal.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dwight. At this time, I'd like to thank the team that came together to present the demo meeting for Georgia Association of Healthcare Executives. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your service and getting together on the team, putting this meeting together. So at this time, we will open the floor for a Q&A session to entertain questions from Bruce, Darra, and any of the members in attendance on Bruce's side of the ledger. So Bruce, at this time, we'll open up for questions, please.
Darra, do you want to lead the Q&A discussion? And we'll tell people, I guess, the next steps and how to join and all that. And I'll be posting the membership application back into chat in just a moment.
Yeah, thank you, Floyd, and everyone from the District 14 Toastmasters team. I appreciate you guys taking the time to demonstrate for all of us what it looks like to have a Toastmasters meeting. And I'm hoping that everybody involved, that you weren't intimidated by it, but that it's actually encouraging to see just how much this program can really help us improve our speaking skills, help us to interact with and engage in a more constructive and efficient way and effective way. And a question that I have about some of the process is, for the speaker, for the better speaking portion, is that something that you nominate people for, or people volunteer to prepare a 5 to 7 minute speech prior to the next meeting? How is that determined?
Darra, who are you focusing the question to? Anyone on my team can actually answer that question. Okay.
Yeah, and anyone who
my name's Mark Gellhart, and Darra, I just sent you an email. Myself, along with Charla Summers, will be your club sponsors. There's Charla, our all-counter grammarian. Charla and myself are going to be the club sponsors for this particular engagement. We are here to answer all those questions. We can either do it in a group setting like this or offline. I sent you my email address, and once we get connected, I can help you with all those things. Speeches, but a short answer is people volunteer to do speeches, or they get voluntold to do speeches. So you try to have anywhere from 1 to 3 speeches a meeting. You try to have anywhere from 1 to 5 table topics and 1 to 3 evaluations, 1 for each speech given, depending on the time frame for your club. If you're a lunchtime club, you may only have one speech a meeting. If you're at end of the evening club, you may have 3 speeches. And there's a whole path called pathways. There's a whole system of who gives what speech, what's that speech about in general terms, and how they get taught and trained by going through a path of speeches from a very beginning icebreaker speech, something about yourself, all the way through evaluation speeches and mentoring speeches and leadership speeches. So who gives the speech? Anyone that volunteers to do it, or you as the interim club president might ask one of your members, you know, like Karen, who's on the call, say, hey, Karen, I'd like you to give your icebreaker next week. I'd really like you to do it. Here, get ready to do it and we'll help you out. So any way your particular club wants to manage those speeches, along with managing who does various other, here in this meeting, we had a Toastmaster, we had a general evaluator, we had a table topics master. All of those positions come from your club, from your people. So you, as the president, help orchestrate each meeting before the meeting. Here, when we came in, Floyd got the agenda together. We posted a copy of the agenda in the chat. It's a typical Toastmaster agenda. And he got people to fill each one of those positions before we came to the meeting. That's what we're expecting your club to do a group hug and say, yes, I want to do this. I want to learn. And then Carla and myself will help you, will train you in what a Toastmaster does, what an evaluator does. We will be there hand in hand, and then we will hand off to mentors, which you will have 2 mentors assigned to your club that will stay with you for 6 months after you charter. So that was a very long answer to a small question. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
And I would like to open it up to anyone else from GAHE to ask a question of the team as well.
And Darra, I'm just posting things in chat. If you don't have chat open,
Okay.
open up chat.
I do have chat open. Okay, there we go. So is that a question from Julie?
This is Bruce. I was just letting people know that in chat, I've been posting some messages on how to join the membership application, and just letting people know that later today, I'll send out an email. We're videoing today's session, so I'll send a copy of the video along with instructions for how to join Toastmasters, and then we'll have some information on next steps for establishing the club.
Right. So there's a link to the applications placed in the chat, as well as instructions for sending the completed application to Bruce.
Yeah, so we'll need to get everyone's applications, and everything will just come to me for now, and we'll hold it until we get at least 20 people that are necessary to establish the club. And then if we have the 20 people, we'll go ahead and send that in to Toastmasters. If we don't have the 20 people, then I'll return everything back to you. Is that right?
Bruce, another thing that Carla and myself will be glad to do is, this was a demo meeting to show you how the meeting takes place. We would be glad to hold other meetings and educate your individuals before we even get chartered, before you get to 20 members. If you get 10 or 15 folks that want to get together and hold another meeting, we will be glad to get on and explain, educate, train, and teach as we're going through this process. We don't want to lose the momentum of this demo meeting by waiting for the 20 applications. So you tell us if you want to do this once a week, every other week. You tell us how you need our support to keep this momentum going.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks, Mark.
And I think that does lead us also to talk about the schedule of the Toastmasters meetings that we were proposing. Just knowing everyone's busy schedule, most people are able to log in during the lunchtime hour. So right now we are planning to have our Toastmasters meeting scheduled for the second and fourth Tuesday of the month at noontime from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. So we're going to use the rest of the month of August, so from today through the end of August, to collect applications from those who are interested. And then we hope to be able to plan or schedule our first meeting on the second Tuesday of September, which is September 13th at 12 o'clock p.m. And then from there on, the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. So for those of you who are interested, please know that we definitely would like to get the applications in as soon as possible so that we know whether or not we can charter or not. But even if we're not able to charter by the end of August, we will definitely plan to have our initial meeting by September 13th to get additional information out to those who are interested.
And Mark, that initial meeting, should that be like an organizational meeting? Is that at that point, do you start electing club officers, or does that come later?
So we'll do both. We'll do both things. We're going to do a speech. We're going to have one speech because we want you to get into the fashion of learning what Toastmasters is about. And we have an hour-long meeting, so we may not do the full Toastmaster method, but we'll have one speech and we'll have organization, because we do need to know who's going to be the leadership to move your club forward. So we're going to do both of that, and we'll cram it into 1 hour. And as you saw, I was timer. We will stay on time so people can eat lunch at their desk and still participate.
Great. Good to know. Thanks, Mark. Any other questions from GAHE members out there?
If you want to be, I'm sorry, if you want to be an officer, I would suggest that, are you all aware, able to get onto the Toastmasters website and pull up the leadership handbook at all yet?
Shala, I sent that last week, I believe, to Bruce and Darra, and they can just share that with their members.
Yeah, I did get that, Floyd.
It would be good for those who are thinking about being some kind of an officer to read those roles, because each role has its own specific needs and time commitments. So
Bruce, if you need,
there I go sewing.
Carla and us to have a meeting with you to explain any of those documents, we'll be glad to have a meeting with you.
Okay.
Hey, Vasandra and Marion, this is Floyd. I have a question related to the officer roles. Bruce and Darra will be asking for volunteers for those officers' roles. But my question related to that is this: since the district is currently going through the TLI meetings, once Bruce and Darra assign or appoint those people to be officers, would it be, I guess, realistic to have them to attend one of the TLI meetings to get a better feel and sense of what the officers' roles are about?
Floyd, this is Versandra.
Yes.
What I would really like for us to do is just keep the main thing, which is getting members. And once anyone is a member, they can attend TLI. So TLI is available to anyone that's a member of Toastmasters International. So if we focus our attention on 20 members and let that be our #1 goal, then at that point we can move forward. We just don't want to jump the gun and begin to do a lot of additional meetings and those type of things when we don't have 20 members yet. So that would be my answer to that question.
Okay. And
Understood.
TLI, is
Thank
that
you.
like Toastmasters Leadership Institute or something like that?
That's exactly what it is. And it's going on throughout the end of this month. We have, I think, maybe 6 more TLIs, 6 or so. And those are opportunities to receive 3 hours of training that is related directly to the leadership roles. So if we can get those 20 members by the end of next week, then you will have 2 to 3 opportunities to attend a TLI.
Okay, awesome. Darra, do you have anything else?
No, I don't have any other questions. I just want to thank again Floyd, Versandra, Mark, Carla, everyone who helped facilitate, Gloria, our general evaluator, Dwight, who was also our lead Toastmaster of the day. I just want to appreciate everyone for taking the time to structure this. The fact that you put together a speech in advance of this was amazing. Really appreciate that. And I look forward to all of the GAHE members who are interested to get in their applications. And please reach out if you have any additional questions about joining up to start our charter Toastmasters organization.